Welcome to Kumbasoft DPAA tutorials. This tutorial is about changing object passwords with DPAA. Now, DPAA has a number of ways that we can change passwords throughout the system, but there's none easier than using a dedicated menu item that's available to you when you're selecting object types containing a password field. Now, this object type can contain either a password field, a password alias reference, or both, and DPAA knows the difference when you are selecting the object type and based upon the configuration that is currently set. So when you're changing the password, it knows what to change. So to demo this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select like a couple of crypto certificates here, and I'm just going to pop up the menu over here. And notice this menu item that says change password for applicable selected types. And what that means is this field has a password. If I go and select, say, these count monitors here and do the same thing, you'll notice the menu item is not available here because a count monitor doesn't have a password field associated with it. So that's the difference. It's smart enough to know. And if I go and select a couple of more, like I select a couple of count monitors, a couple of certificates, and then I pop this up, it will say change password again. The menu item is available. Now, there's no way it's going to be dumb enough to go and try to change a password for a count monitor. DPAA knows that it's only going to be working with those certificate objects, but this menu option, when it pops up, it means you have at least one object selected that contains either a password field or a password reference. So to get started on this, to kind of show you how it all works, I'm going to select only the crypto key type, and I'm going to search. We know crypto keys have a password field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two that are down. This probably means, hey, what's wrong here? And this is kind of the use case. Say, okay, it says file is not in a known format. And it's pretty common when you see that maybe the password is incorrect. So I'm going to pop up the menu and I'm going to select change password for applicable selected types. And we get a wizard dialog that basically says, hey, we want to change these passwords. It's showing the items that I have selected, but there's a small difference here. And what that difference is the one in this appliance, the first row presented, is using a plain password field and not a password reference, password alias. The second row is using a password alias and not the plain password field. Now, you may run into a circumstance where a configuration object contains both the plain password and a reference to a password alias. Well, even within data power, if that is the scenario, the password alias prevails. So DPAA will show it this way as well. So even if this object and this appliance and domain contain both, because it has the password alias, it knows it prevails. So the only field editable up here is this new password field that we have. And so you can type in the new password for this. And then note that if we type in the new password for this, it's a little bit different because what we're really wanting to change is the password associated with a password alias. In the first row's case, we just want to change the plain text password. But in this one, we want to change the password to the password alias. And DPAA is smart enough to know this. When I click finish, watch what happens. So in the response window, when you expand this out, notice what it says. In the first appliance, it says I set the password of the crypto key, Bravo client key, to this password. But notice on the second appliance, it says I set the password of the password alias, test password alias, to this value. I'm going to close this and I'm going to search again, and we're going to see, hey, look, our objects are up, which means we fixed this password. We can change this en masse on as many items as we want to change them on. And that's a very powerful concept. Now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select the crypto certificate type. And I'm going to just type in Bravo client. And I'm going to leave out the rest of the key because I happen to know I have some certificates of this same name. And here's my Bravo client cert. Now, let's suppose I want to show you how one other feature works here. And that is I'm going to open the password for applicable types. And then we're going to see that we have a password already set for this password object on both. And in both cases, they have the property type, or the password field, is the plain text password field. We have a synchronize changes on the checkbox on this window. And what it means is if everything about these two objects are the same, all the way down to the type of field that it's a plain password field. If I change this to another password, you notice how all I had to do is press the tab key and it changed it also here. And that's very convenient for you if all of the configurations are the same. Now, we intentionally created the configuration difference in the keys so you could see that DPAA was smart enough to change either or. But in this case, when you have synchronized changes all and everything is configured the same, it will go about the process of changing that password when synchronized changes are on. Of course, if I don't have synchronized changes on and I change one of these to whatever it might be, then notice it did not change on this second one because synchronized changes is not on. So I wanted to show you that too, and that's very convenient to do. And again, this is a plain text password field. So if I go in and I type this in and I have this password, I'm going to go ahead and click finish, and it knows that it's just changing the password and not a password alias, and now it's changed. So if I select this and move it, we see that it's modified, but it's up, so we're in good shape. We see our little dirty flag here on the domain, so we can save that domain, and we're ready to go. So this is what changing passwords is like in DPAA. And again, I could select 100 different objects. If all of their passwords changed, now, whether or not you're using the same password for everything, that's going to be dependent upon your environment. But if you do need to make en-masse password changes across many different types of objects and their configurations, DPAA makes that very, very easy for you. So if you have any questions, comments, or ideas here, go out to www.kumbasoft.com. Go to the Contact Us link there, put in your information, and somebody from Kumbasoft will get back to you. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.